When we get a little too deep into the world of luxury watches, it is easy to forget just how expensive timepieces are. I'm at a phase of my watch collecting journey where my husband recently showed me a £35,000 watch, and my reaction was, whoa, that's really great value. For context, I don't make that much money in a year. Subscribe. So today we're looking at some of the best finds, the coolest watches you can buy for under $1,000. Starting with Christopher Ward, and for me, this is a brand that oozes value. Their watches are unreasonably well priced. But keeping it under £1,000 or $1,000, it has to be the C63 Sealander Automatic. These have that go anywhere, do anything look to them, with a classic but still sporty aesthetic. Available in either 36mm case diameter or 39mm, date window at 6 o'clock, and still a mechanical movement rather than a quartz, so this is powered by the SW200-1 automatic movement, giving you 38 hours of power reserve. The 39mm does have a few more interesting details, in my humble opinion, with the pops of red along the hour markers. The dial writing is also in red and the tip of the seconds hand, but I personally prefer the 36mm sizing for my smaller wrist. Either size retails for £840, which is a freaking bargain for how much watch you're getting and just how versatile it is. Hamilton is another brand where there's ridiculous value, brand heritage, and a great catalog. There are 3 watches we need to highlight: the Jazzmaster, the American Classic Bolton Mechanical, and the Khaki Field Mechanical. Starting with the Jazzmaster, this is a watch I feel like I should talk about more than I do. The Jazzmaster Auto is kind of the dress watch for the person who doesn't like dress watches. Although it looks traditional, it is still quite sporty with the seconds hand and date at 3 o'clock. It has a 40mm case size and almost reminds me of the JLC Master Control line. Great watch, retails for £740. Get in. Next, this one is a bit unexpected, but the American Classic Bolton Mechanical. This is a step dressier than the Jazzmaster and reminds me a bit of the Cartier Tank. Roman numerals, no date, but a seconds hand still and available with a blue dial, green, or white dial. I'm boring and classical, so of course the white dial is my favorite. These retail for £840, which isn't cheap, but still you're getting a mechanical movement and a really classic looking watch. And last Hamilton, I promise, but of course, the Khaki Field Mechanical. I feel like this is the obvious one that everyone puts on their lists, but it's a cliche for a reason. I truly think this is underpriced for how cool of a watch it is. Much sportier than the other 2 that I mentioned, being a field watch. It looks great on the bracelet or on a NATO. This feels like the watch choice of the guy who drives a Land Rover. You know, that cool guy who wears like military jackets and stuff. I always want to be friends with that guy, but he doesn't want to be friends with me. Anyways, my social insecurities aside, on the bracelet you can pick these up for £660, and on the NATO it is £545. Another brand that dominates the sub $1,000 category, Seiko. If it was me and my money and I was looking for something under $1,000, Seiko would be one of my top choices, namely something in the Seiko 5 Sports collection. The Seiko 5 Sport GMT are some of the best priced mechanical GMTs that money can buy at £420, blaze it, and can often be found at discount. Or for something a bit more everyday, maybe something like the SKX Sports line. Seriously good looking, robust watch, another one of those go anywhere, do anything pieces. I feel like this could easily be the only watch you owned and retails for £260. Can't complain. One thing I should say, Seiko movement accuracy is sometimes not the best. Like for the SKX that I mentioned, it has a tolerance of -35 plus 45 seconds per day, which sounds pretty bad. Like if you compare it to, say, the Christopher Ward with the Sellita SW200-1 movement with a tolerance of +20 -20 seconds per day, the Seiko does sound a little bit less desirable. But a lot of Seiko watches don't perform as terribly as they initially sound. They are usually far more accurate than that, but they have a tolerance of -35 plus 45 seconds per day. Now for me and Tissot, it was really between the PRX, the Gentleman, or something a little bit different like the Sidereal. But if I was advising someone to buy something from the Tissot catalog, it would be the PRX that I suggest. As much as I truly love the Gentleman, I think the PRX is a more interesting choice. It has a bit more oomph to it. Tissot Gentleman lovers, I look forward to a spirited debate in the comment section. The Tissot PRX was first introduced in 1978, and it was designed as a modern-looking sports watch for the time. Nowadays, it looks very 70s and 80s, but in a good way, with its simple shape and geometric lines. Now, when it comes to this one, it's one of those few models where I still recommend to people to look into the quartz. The automatic is still great and is still under budget for this video, retailing at £640 in stainless steel with the bracelet. But if you want to save quite a bit of money and still get that same aesthetic, the quartz is half the price. Okay, Frederique Constant is a brand that I don't talk about as much as I should, and we really need to change that. In general, I would say the brand represents insane value for money. But the particular watch under £1,000 I'd recommend is the Classics Index Automatic. For me, this just ticks all the boxes if you're looking for a classical, but still slightly sportier dress watch. 40mm case diameter, 10mm thickness, 50 meters of water resistance with the Sellita SW200 base caliber, giving you 38 hours of power reserve. How can you complain about this? Fears. Let's talk about Fears watches. I don't know how it's taken me this long to talk about them. They're based here in the same city as me, Bristol, UK. Fears Watches is a heritage brand started by Edwin Fear in 1846 and has recently been revitalized by his three greats grandson, Nicholas Bowman Scargill. I think I got the right amount of greats in there. Let me know someone from Fears if I'm not quite right. But there's a lot of beauties in the Fears catalog, with my personal favorite being the Brunswick 40 Boutique Edition with the Mallard dial. But if we're staying on budget, it has to be the Redcliff Edwin Edition. This one is so good. 38mm stainless steel case, 20mm lug width, stark black lacquer dial with white numerals, and 50 meters of water resistance. Now, one of the reasons these are priced the way that they are is because they are quartz, which I know can be a turnoff for a lot of watch geeks. But honestly, with a proper two-hand dress watch like this, I'm not as fussed whether it's quartz or mechanical. It just saves me from having to wind it. Okay, last but not least, Longines. I really feel like I need to reach out to Longines because I'm such a big lover and enthusiast of their watches, but I don't get to be hands-on with them very much, so I should get in touch with them. Keeping it under $1,000 in the Longines catalog, it has to be the Conquest. It's another one of those sporty, robust, go-anywhere, do-anything watches, which is quite obviously my favorite style. Available in a few different sizes as well, so for me, with my smaller wrists, it would be the 34mm all day, every day. But for most men, or people who prefer their watches a little bit bigger, I'd recommend the 41mm. And to keep it under budget, it will have to be the quartz model. But yeah, right guys, I've blathered on long enough. I'd love to know in those comments down below, did I miss your favorite watch for under $1,000? G-Shock people? They're coming for me. I can feel it already. Huge miss in this list. Yeah. Subscribe if you haven't already. And now, let's thank the fabulous, gorgeous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. A bit of drama today while we thank the Pope tier patrons. To be honest with you guys, all tier patrons are the greatest people in the world. They've never done anything wrong in their lives ever. But Pope tier patrons especially, they're just the greatest. Thank you so much, all tier patrons. Thank you, Pope tier patrons, new Pope tier patrons, old Pope tier patrons, and everyone in between. You're all gorgeous, fabulous, amazing. Thank you for supporting my channel. I hope you keep enjoying the content. I love making it. And I love that other people love wristwatches as much as I do. Bye, guys.